And welcome to Memory Jogger. It's me, your host, Wyatt Bloom. Wanted to welcome you to 2024. Yes, we made it another year, and I really wish you blessings and a good year filled with happiness and joy. Uh, Hopefully, it's not as bad as what we ended our year 2023 with. Um, but we're starting fresh, and I had a little inspiration, we'll call it. Um, Noticed on a few podcasts, I was invited very recently by Scott Crawford over at MASKast uh, to have a chat. Actually, Jason and I were both invited to go over and have a chat with him. But uh, that had been maybe 4 or 5 months of getting on schedules and so forth. But something I noticed was my eye contact, especially with the tribute, um, the small 12-minute, uh, uh, very sad, grief-filled tribute, and the more collected tribute that I offered on both MASKast and this Memory Jogger. In fact, um, this is what I will call a simulcast. I'll use that as a radio term because I want to do this as a collective show and tell. But I got the idea because a lot of times I was talking to Scott and I noticed on the tribute videos that I was looking up, and it's something that clicked that maybe you don't know why I'm looking up. Um, Sometimes I've noticed that I was looking up and above, right? But wanted to give you guys a behind the scenes of our studios, both Jason's, I'll call it studio, and my studio. We always use that term studio. It really was just a made up word to make it sound good. And my purpose in this show and tell, this behind the scenes, is really to crack the shell, if you will, with the people out there in podcast land. Many of you are podcasters that listen to us, but there's a few that we've come across that are hindered because you think you have to have a big fancy room or elaborate equipment. That's not the case. You can do your podcast in any form or fashion. You can do it any place in your home or car or wherever you can find a place to do it. Very recently, I've been seeing people like Steve Gutenberg. You might remember him from the uh, uh, Johnny Five, Short Circuit movie, Police Academy movies. Um, and he just uses a video podcast as he's walking around, right? Well, you don't need anything elaborate. You really don't. Um, Sorry, now I'm looking off screen to turn off my phone, at least the ringer. Um, but I wanted to show you what we have and what we've used as our studios. And again, it's to show you that you don't need anything special. I've grown in equipment for a long time. It was, oh, my kids took it. I had these $20 Behringer small little handheld mics that you use probably at a church or a stage event or just plain talking podium, talking venues. You'll see it in the pictures here in a little bit. It'll pop up. Only recently, in the last 6 months, I acquired this guy. This is an Electro Voice model RE16. And the only reason I got it was to get closer to my identical uh, WCPA studio that you do see there in the background. So I was just trying to replicate it, and this came down a lot. Um, so I use it more for nostalgia purposes, memory jogger, than I do for any other reason. It's not because of the quality, it's just trying to use it. I mean, I paid money, right? um, anyway, I wanted to talk to you and tell you what our podcasting and what our experiences were like in a studio that we kept calling it. Um, so I want to show you if I can get it to work. Here is Jason's first studio, and what you'll see is uh, not part of his image. What you see, that little dent there, is the lighting, the poor lighting on my green screen behind me, and I'll show you about that in a little bit. So that room that Jason is recording in right there is his laundry room. To his left, our right, would be his washer and dryer. He had made comments, if you remember, that he even had bullet holes behind him. Those keys that you see, those key ring holders that you see behind him, he had taken down. So it was full of holes that he had patched and eventually filled that room that you see there. So again, you don't need anything special. He sat that mic, excuse me, and his laptop there on a box, and I believe his wife's laundry basket. That was his table. So again, you can use whatever you want to accomplish your recording venue. Many of you might keep it a secret what you do. You might have the elaborate studio. Look at Bill Ferris over at mattracker.com. He has an awesome, awesome office full of collectibles, mostly masks. There's a few Batmans in there and a few others, but obviously he's Matt Tracker, loves his mask toys, so he's able to display it. Now, what looks like a terrible problem with my nose there. Uh, my apologies. I'm still learning the green screen um, lighting and all that. So forgive me. Um, you can see right under Jason is my original mic that I had been using for probably 10, 11 years. Only, like I said, only 6 months have I used this Electro Voice right here. It does the job. It did the job. There was no big quality deterrence that I ever noticed. In fact, a few times I used this guy. This made it simpler for me a lot of times. Um, but anyway, you can see what my room is like now. This screen is hiding all that door you can see. It's just hiding what's behind there. You can see my electrical panel right behind me, which is right over here. So it's just a small, this is really a small closet. It's underneath my stairs. So it's wherever I can find a place to record. Now, that particular studio, we'll call it, is really his bedroom. That was Jason's bedroom, master bedroom. He had taken a wall. He actually had two walls, really. His wife was not exactly thrilled. But his uh, that wall there is just, like I said, on the other side of his bed. He had all his collectibles. You can see the hoverboard and the ghost trap. In fact, this video is on his Ghostbusters review. Um, his Mad Balls there. Uh, and his desk was not really a desk. It was a box sitting on top of his bed. That's how he recorded all of these recordings, especially I would say, the last 5, 6 years, maybe even longer, uh, whenever he got the green light to move out of the laundry room because it was getting noisy in there. His wife also needed to get in there to obviously do the laundry. So it was just a little hindrance. There, I took a snippet from his uh, one of his recent recordings with his daughter. They were doing the various reviews of things. That was the candle review, um, and that's his kitchen. That's his kitchen table he's using there, and behind him is his wife's little uh, decorative plates on display there. Again, it's mobile. I mean, you got a phone. You can make it as mobile and as simplistic as you want. Now, this is my studio. My see if I can adjust this a little bit better for your viewing pleasure. This is nothing elaborate, nothing special. Again, you can see my finger can do it. I guess not right. What you're seeing and why I was looking up in a lot of the videos, especially with Scott, is my screen is on top because of a lack of space. Um, I tried to incorporate, I don't think you can see it in this video very well, uh, to the lower left. I'll get it right one of these days. Let me move out of the way. You can't even see it. My mini mixer is sitting there. I've talked about that I have a mini mixer, a little Behringer board, and that is um, actually what's connected to this microphone. And all it is like I said, I can look up and I can read the scripts. We used it's scripts, but when we did the MASKast, um, when we looked at the randomizer that Jason would do for the Memory Jogger podcast, right? It was up so I could see it. And I would try to be forced to look at the monitor, or sorry, the camera that's built into my laptop so I could look. And you can see I was editing pictures right there. Um, you probably can't quite make it out, but you see the carts underneath my microphone, those carts that I've talked about it a number of times. I still keep them here, actually because I just haven't packed them up. Um, let me see if I can incorporate a better photo for you promptly, so I'm not wasting your time. But again, I was just trying to give you guys a better idea of um, what you can do when you're looking at doing podcasts. Again, I've had a couple questions come up, not a lot, but a few questions have come up asking, I want to be a podcaster, I want to do what you're doing, but what or how can I do it without, um, uh, I don't know what to get. I don't know what the resources I need to get. Uh, so this is it. This is what you can do. You can use whatever you have. You don't have to work at big fancy equipment like I've said. I don't know why it's showing my apologies. My equipment is not working right. Here you go. Here's a better sort of left-hand view of everything. You can see my stairs over there, wherever my finger is. You see a monitor there. That's in placement and hold. Whenever I get to the studio that I get built, you see my little Alf hand puppet that I got at RetroCon a few years ago. You can see my ClearfieldCounty.com magnet, one of the ones I used on my truck when Jason and I did our homecoming um, to really advertise for my website, my Clearfield County website. You see the mini mixer. You also see, maybe faintly, and I wanted to explain this too, get the lighting better. This is my squadron coin, and this is what I've been giving to the Dukes, um, John Schneider, Tom Wopat, Catherine Bach, um, um, Cletus, uh, and I actually gave one to Cooter, but not physically handed it to him. If you remember when I did the Cooter's Last Stand, uh, one of the fans, over anxious, pummeled him and injured him, and he said he didn't want to see any more fans because it was, I guess it really hurt him, shook him up. Um, but his aide wrote a little thing on the plastic here, said, thanks for what you do, Wyatt. And that was what was given to him. Then obviously you see my monitor, and again, the top. The other thing you see there on my light, I noticed um, when I did the video with Scott Crawford, rather, I needed something to take some of the light off, the brightness, the flash. What I'm using, you can see a little bit of orange going on. I need to add the second one, but I have poor lighting behind me because of it. This is nothing more than a wrapper from an orange, yes, the fruit bag. Again, it's the simplest things. I work with the simplest, and if I can, the most inexpensive thing. We get oranges, you know, cut the bag, you got an orange lens, and you can try to shade yourself a little bit better. I should know more techie stuff. I should know how to do this in here, but me and OBS have been arguing lately. You can see that. Still novice on the video, but wanted to incorporate it. There's a lighter view of the carts, the microphone, little bottle of water. You can see my cords and stuff hanging there. Again, it's what you got. What do you have to work with? Again, use what you got. Um, the other thing I wanted to cover um, with this podcast and what I talked about recording anywhere, there were several episodes where we had family visiting, but Jason and I wanted to record. So what I did, is I would move into a spare bedroom, maybe upstairs, and take my laptop, take my headset, and go to town. On one of those recordings, I can't remember the episode, I talked pretty quiet because my wife was sleeping in the other room. My twin daughter was sleeping in her room right next door. So I wasn't as vocal, I wasn't as loud, pronounced. So again, you do what you got. When I was on vacation on a memory jogger, I think it was Michael J. Fox that we talked about. Not for certain, but I think that's what my family and I decided to take a real quick, short 3, maybe 4 day trip down to North Carolina on a beach. And I just grabbed my cell phone, and I did have this headset, but it wasn't working. My phone didn't like it. So the sad part was, hey guys, I'm here in an undisclosed place, in an undisclosed location, kind of like Batman. Again, audio wasn't great. You all know that, but it worked. Um, and that's what I'm trying to convey to you guys. You can use minimal stuff. Your phone has a camera. Most of you have the smartphone. You're not as reluctant as I was to get away from the um, yep, I still got it. My flip phone. Now this is decommissioned, but I still got it. In fact, that's what I use to tie Bobby Day into my mixing board over on the side here. And it worked great. You guys had a great time. The only thing that didn't get mixed in was he could not hear the audio. Uh, Again, I work with the simplest. I'm an audio engineer. I've built sound systems. I DJ whenever possible, typically at the kids' school lately. And again, it doesn't have to be complex. If you want it to be complex, you go all out. You get the pop filter that Jason had, right? Which helps. It takes away some of you guys hear me, and I don't even know I'm doing it until I'm doing the audio side of the podcast. When I'm editing, I hear this, don't even know I'm doing it, but it's happening. Um, the other thing, some little, I won't say secrets, but some little things that Jason and I used to do, the quirks, is before we start up, we would have a drink nearby. Usually I had some kind of pop. Every place else calls it soda. Us up in Pennsylvania, we called it pop. Um, so I had a can of Coke, usually Dr. Pepper, maybe. Um, Sometimes birch beer, Pennsylvania Dutch birch beer. You saw that in an episode of Memory Jogger where I was showing Jason the yellow can. Um, we might have snacks. Jason would have a couple crunches of chips or crackers. I actually did the same. Usually it was crackers or popcorn. Take a little sip. He would actually have a sip of iced tea, and we would start. We would go to town. We would record. We'd do our thing, and get through the episodes, whatever it was. Um, this I was really wanting to wish you all a great new year, 2024. Again, I can't forget about my brother Jason. He'll still be a part of this as long as I can come up with stories. I'm sure he'll be a part of this podcast. I also wanted to encourage you guys because some of you, like I said, have wanted to get into podcasting and you're novice, you don't have a clue, you're scared because of the simple thing of equipment. What do I get? What do I need? Do I need anything complex? Do I need the high horsepower laptop? You don't need anything. Again, a smartphone will work. That's your starter. You can use that. Obviously, a laptop. Jason had a Chromebook. He didn't have anything elaborate. The only thing he had that he spent, if I can call it that, was um, the microphone that he had, and I can't remember what its brand name was, but it looked like a ball. And you guys heard the audio quality. It sounded great to me. The only audio quality that we didn't have was typically because we were using the um, the mechanism. So Google Hangouts would sometimes fault on us. Um, you had we had Skype. In fact, when we initially started MASKast, our original podcast, it was Skype with a app built in called Pamela, and it was hilarious because Jason would always sing Pamela as we were firing it up. Uh, but he would fire it up. We'd run it. It only got a 20-minute record. We'd have to keep recording and re-recording, re-recording um, the the next successive cuts of MASKast. Then we had um, it went away. We were finally able to use Google Hangouts. I think was the second um, system that we used, and then we added video. The downside was, like I've explained before, that the video and the audio seemed to lag. We would have uh, lags, and you've heard the audio. You can relate where you'd hear this, and then the word would start again. Many times I was actually telling Jason to stop, or he would say the same thing. Hey, hey, say that last part again. It is just because if I could hear the lag, and he's the one recording it, I know the recording's going to hear the lag, and you guys are going to hear a little bit less quality of a video. So again, I'm really saying this all to just encourage you, to you don't need anything fancy. You can just have fun, pick a topic, something that you love, something you're interested in. You know, us rediscover the 80s, as well as Mask. We loved Mask, right? So everything about the episode, the comics, and I've had awesome privileges with, uh, like I said, Scott Crawford and a few others. Um, it's um, it's been amazing. The community, the outreach. When I do the next successive recording, I'll get into the um, comments to share with you. Most of them are all the same. Hey, great tribute. Thank you for mentioning Jason. We're gonna miss him. Can't believe he's gone. Thanks for keeping up the hard work, and things like that. It's all about the same. But I'll mention them. I will gladly share that with you guys. Again, I want to thank you once again. Thank you for everything you've done, your support, and I will do my best. Like I said, I'll do my best to keep Rediscover the 80s and agentsofmask.com going. And until then, thank you all for listening, and thanks for being a part of us here with Rediscover the 80s and Agents of Mask.